One of the other topics that we would like to talk about, and we feel our latest revision to the Massachusetts Ocean Plan is this concept of responding to emerging issues and tracking emerging issues. And we feel as though we approach this through sort of two different tracks. The first track is part of our plan is what we call our baseline assessment. It's really a inventory and a sort of status and trends of environmental conditions, natural resource conditions, changes in climate, but also changes in sort of sociocultural trends, energy, shipping, transportation, economic trends, and things like that. Through that update of our baseline assessment, just for context, our Ocean Act calls on us to review our ocean plan at least once every 5 years. Through our update of the baseline assessment, we're actually able to look at these trends in these different aspects of ocean management. So, for example, offshore wind. You're able to sort of say, well, we released our plan in 2009. Well, what happened after 2009? Well, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management formalized their siting and planning process through the creation of an intergovernmental task force, both in Massachusetts and in Rhode Island, to really start to implement the Energy Policy Act nationally and how it was going to manifest itself in the region, in the Northeast region, offshore Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So all this is starting to happen after we've issued our plan. Okay, in that time period from 2009 to about 2013-14, when we're reviewing our plan, we're seeing that there is a trend here. The federal government, with its state partners and with the information and some of the stakeholder engagement that the state ocean planning process brings to the table, is making progress on identifying potential lease areas, delineating through their process and through the whole call for nominations and request for interest and all of the formal processes, wind energy areas, holding auctions, and now we have 4 lease areas offshore Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So an emerging issue here is, how are we going to bring that energy from those projects, when and if they get developed, to the landside grid through our state waters and through our planning area? So in our update of our 2009 plan, we spent a lot of time looking at some of the transmission infrastructure needs, understanding what the existing grid looked like, and then really digging into compatibility assessment, siting suitability, optimization of routes. You don't want a cable that's going to run miles and miles and miles doing S-curves around every single thing. That's just not going to be economically feasible for developers, and it's going to add to the cost of the project. So you want an efficient process. So through our 2015 plan, which we released back in January 2015, we've identified 4 preliminary corridors for offshore energy transmission. And those were subject to an immense amount of review of community input, working with fishermen, getting their input. Their interest is we want to have these transmission lines buried. We want to have them not interfere with our fishing practices. We don't want them going through sensitive areas, and that's also a similar theme with our resource agencies and with our environmental NGOs. So these 4 areas are preliminary areas, and we're also saying that there's more process needed. We're going to learn more as the federal leasing and the development and the site assessment process. We're going to learn more as we get out and we do some more survey work along these corridors. They may be subject to modification and future plan updates and amendments, but it really is responding to an emerging issue, in Massachusetts and in the region.